a dream. One swimming up, one swimming downstream. The Pisces life, 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 the Pisces life.
Girl, on to something funny, child.
Yes. So we talked about people we was canceling over the coronavirus. Which is inclusive of somebody you used to date.
Very inclusive of that.
2 seniors who was a little too aggressive in the marketplace. And a couple of some of y'all who have not been exhibiting good hygienic practices.
Right.
Since we are moving into the summertime, now I know there's a ban on public gatherings, but y'all is not going to ruin these family reunions. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, coronavirus or not. The t-shirts have been printed. You are not going to be out here ruining. No.
Okay. And folks done put down deposits.
Folks have been secured plots in parks. You ain't doing that. You ain't doing it. So we thought it would be fun to discuss in lieu of cancel culture and its respective consequences. Who's invited to the picnic? Because we know that there's some people who have been canceled, and we just needed to see if there was an update on whether or not we could issue them an invitation. I'm going to start with one of my favorite cancellations. And not that I'm a participant of cancel.
Not your favorite cancellation, thanks.
I'm not a participant of cancel culture. What I am is an observer and an acknowledger. You know what I'm saying? That's different from being a participant. You know what I mean?
You didn't put the cancel out there.
I didn't put the cancel out there. But if the cancel fit,
cancel it. I mean,
I'm just saying. It's just fair. Fair is fair. That's all I'm saying. So one of my favorite cancellations would be Sister Stacey Dash. Has she resolved her cancellation concerns and made a plea back to the delegation?
Listen, I thought maybe the coronavirus would have made her come on, try to come on back and check in and see what was going on with us. But you remember that song by the Atlanta rapper T.I. where it says, "When you see me in the streets, remember, you don't know me." And that's her vote. She's cast that vote. She said, that's fine. I don't want to be back invited to the cookout.
So she a lifetime cancellation member.
Her papers have been canceled.
Well, that's good because I wasn't sure if I was going to have to make those appropriate arrangements to keep us safe and secure from the petty people at the picnic. Because,
From the petty people at the picnic. Petty people at the picnic.
Because they already was going to come to the picnic after having a little nip that early afternoon anyway. And, once you didn't have the precursor nip.
Oh, Lord.
There ain't no holding the tongue. There is
no holding of the tongue.
Who is next on the list?
Listen, this one right here, I as soon as I say his name, I know, I just already know your little head gonna get the bobbing and rolling and back. And since usually you try to find a saving grace if there is one, and I give that to you, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to get Kanye West back on the guest list. I don't, he doing his own thing now, he done became all Kardashianized.
Yes, he got baptized in Kardashian and he came up a Christian rapper, evangelical
fashionista, preacher.
Now we can acknowledge this. The Sunday service go hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good experience. They be all dressed in their mauve, and their burlap. Their burlaps.
I've only seen them all in black. Like
they be color coordinated. There ain't nobody leaning to the wrong way. Everybody starting on the right. They
That's
on
right.
the two and the four, not
That's
the
right.
1 and the 3. You know what I'm saying? They is saying Jesus, the God, the Father, the Holy Spirit. I don't think I've seen anybody catch the Holy Ghost though. That might be the reason why it ain't legit. Because if we ain't got nobody who done lost their wig shouting on the thank you Jesus in the high register, like a high C thank you Jesus
Mm-hmm.
with the flip back, you know what I'm
Uh-oh.
saying? If we don't see one of them, I don't know.
I'm going to tell you how the old folks used to say, the Lord ain't in that. The Lord ain't in that.
But see,
I believe that he is going through a reckoning within himself and within his spirit. And I understand that, you have life tragedies, and we've talked about this before on the show. When I experienced my mother passing away was one of the single most, the first trauma that I knew, if you will. And dealing with that, I empathize, and I have that peace. Remember when Lunel came on the show? I think it was our 100th episode. We had talked about this, and there was a moment when all of us recognized he's hurting. Those are grief moves. This confusion about what am I doing? It rocks your faith when the one thing that you know and love and that's protected you and had you and been there is gone, and you an only child.
Yes.
I felt that thing deep in my soul. I worry about the brother because when he got with the Kardashian young lady, with Kim, I understood it as a grief move. Those first relationships after you've suffered that type of trauma can really be interesting, for lack of a better word. I went through it myself.
Such a good point.
And I think when he was with them, he had a family. He had siblings, in-law, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was an embracing that I get why he went for it. But I also get why they went for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's nothing that happens on that side of the family that is not by some level of design.
By some level of design. That's all I'm saying. And I'm going to leave that alone. So his invitation, for me, it is not forever canceled in the way that
it's conditional based on a little more internal work, so he can find himself.
Yes. Now, sis, I really want your thoughts, especially since you're right there in Chicago. And I mean, this story has broke since we were last on air and all of this stuff. I'm getting ready to talk about old Jussie Smollett. Smollett.
So
is he invited, or are you?
See, if
I know it's tough. These invitations are tough. They're tough.
So he has to stay canceled, and this is the reason why.
Okay.
Jussie Smollett, Jussie Smollett. You gotta have some accountability. Accountability is your access pass back to the picnic. You know what I'm saying? If you've wronged the community, and you provide a little bit of accountability for your actions.
Yes.
Speak your truth. Speak truth to power. Then your invitation to the picnic can be approved.
Provisionally. You're not getting no mac and cheese off the rip. None of that for you.
You're not getting the mac and cheese, and you're not getting the expensive meat. So you don't get no ribeye. You don't get none of the baby back ribs.
You on the hot dogs and hamburgers with the kids.
Hamburger status, because we have to see how you act. You get up in there getting your ribeye, you gonna get all highfalutin up in there,
right?
And now you accusing Mother Mamie of doing something to you. Now we got another investigation.
He was just back in the news, though. Seriously, I'm like, dude.
So
what is going on?
We found out some interesting facts about Jesse as it relates to the story.
Okay.
That he had a substance abuse problem.
Oh, I ain't heard this. He was on the ooh-wee, as Martin Lawrence say.
Yeah, he was on the ooh-wee
Mm.
and had an ooh-wee habit.
Oh.
And the two trainer peoples, corroborated that story.
Mm.
We need the allegedly side. Allegedly. I'm just reporting
Right.
back what I had read up in the newspapers as such.
Okay.
And we understand that when you are not in your right mental space and not in your right physical space, not in your right emotional space, and then you are managing that with substances, that you are showing up in the world, not even a mirror of yourself. You are showing up in the world as yourself with a mask on. And so to me, this whole situation felt like he had a crack in his mask and he was trying to piece it back together with some poor super glue, because there's standards in super glue. You got your good super glue that's going glue your fingers together and your mama gonna be mad,
right?
And then you got your, super glue that you might get from one of the discount stores that, may or may not hold it together. You know what I mean? So I feel like something in his life was cracking and he was desperately trying to pull it back together.
Yes.
And that the story was to basically provide him some cover.
Wow.
But if you're not no good liar.
Right. And you on the ooh-wee.
And you on the ooh-wee. Because he seemed like he come from a good family.
He
what I'm saying? Like they wasn't at the house practicing live. You know what I'm saying? So it just never felt like the complete story. So if he just gave us some accountability, if he said, you know what? What had happened was we don't.
And let it be the truth this time. Because we done heard like 5 versions of what had happened was.
Right.
And it ain't what had happened yet.
Be a little accountable. Then maybe he can come. But under the current circumstances where he is righteous indignation.
Ooh, preach on it.
And showing up. When we got all the evidence. All the evidence to say, bruh.
Nope. No picnic invitation for you.
I can't take it. I can't take the scrutiny. I don't want the media.
No.
At my picnic, because we be doing things at the picnic that doesn't require everybody.
An audience.
You know what I'm saying? So just gotta stay gone. We gotta wait till this trial end.
Right.
And, if you didn't think you did something wrong, then why you paid $10,000 to the people?
Right.
To the court. Was it to the court? I think you paid a fine.
It was a fine, but it was just so much going on. I was just like, what? I was confused by it. So just on, that alone, you just too complicated right now.
We can't trust you. You ain't gonna be at the picnic making up no stories.
Now I'm gonna tell you who I'm gonna be mad at if they don't let him come to the picnic is this next one, because he's not only a funny man. You see him every week on Blackish. If you're watching Blackish with our wonderful soul sister, who we hope to have on the show one day. Hashtag ask, believe, receive. Yes. Miss Tracy Ellis Ross. But this brother, and I'm not even gonna tell you who it is just yet, because they got him out the picnic line for his fashions.
Because
you know who I'm talking about, sis. Break it down to him, and he want a Shaz on too.
So Deion Cole then showed up trying to,
fashion forward.
Show a little bit of, a little something.
Yes.
He was zhuzhing up his little statement. It's like, why we gonna come with a standard tuxedo or standard suit? This me being Deion. I've been working out.
Yep. Listen.
My body look good.
It too.
I want my suit to be form-fitting.
It was.
I appreciate Parliament and the Funkadelics.
I do too.
I appreciate Earth, Wind, and the Fires.
Elements in the house.
They wore suits that had the bell bottoms.
Fashion forward and current.
I think I'm going to do a throwback and show how we used to rock it, because I am on a show that is called Blackish. And if there's nothing else that's blackish about a bell bottom tuxedo, then this is it. This is me, brother, showing up wearing his bell bottoms. And they didn't kick the brother out the picnic line, told him to go sit in the waiting section to determine if he knew somebody in the picnic, because we didn't recognize him. He just had on a pair of bell bottoms, y'all.
That was all. I mean, they acted like he just showed up there just looking ashy in the face and just,
They act like the brother showed up with some bell bottoms on and a tie up top. With a little kid heel.
I caught it. I caught you, sis. You right about that. That was the bashing, that it was not just his fashion. They went for his sexuality. They claimed he letting us know now, dog. He letting us know. What is he telling you?
Toxic masculinity is just...
It killed the vibe on the red carpet. It really did. And if he was not a stronger man, that might have messed with his self-esteem. And he got on Instagram. I follow him on Instagram. I hope I run into him in real life, because I think he's so... Girl, he can wrap them bell bottoms on around and ring-a-ling-a-ling, a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Oops.
Ring the bell, ring the bell.
I'm sorry, girl. I just had to take that detour. But it's just ridiculous. The man wore bell bottoms. That was not, his LGBTQ two-spirit flag flying.
It was just the brother putting on a pair of wide leg pants, y'all.
Pretty much.
Come on, go back to the 70s.
Okay.
Bell bottoms. Everybody wore bell bottoms.
Everybody, even the baby had a bell bottom diaper on. Okay,
just come. We are so sensitive to trying to attack people's sexuality or out them. It is 2020.
Yes.
Who cares what one's sexuality is? Like, we are human. We all pay taxes. We all deserve the rights to do whatever we want to do. I don't care with. You shouldn't care who I'm sleeping with.
That's right.
Unless it's against the law, in reference to something like with children or animals,
right?
Whatever that, those things, extreme things that are
right,
not appropriate. I don't care. Whatever. Like, if the brother want to flex his bell bottoms,
let him flex them, and he looked good doing it.
He did. He looked handsome to me.
That suit was nice. It really was nice. All jokes aside, that suit was nice. It was nice, and you're right about that body. I mean, it fit him to a T.
I'm telling you, when you get money, when you get them customs.
Listen, when they fit it to your body.
Yes. Suits you. So yeah, Dion Cole can come to any picnic I'm at. So yes, he is approved. And we gonna give him the microphone and let him tell a couple of jokes, because the old folk like to hear him be funny. So,
well, before you go handing out the picnic and making his plate and carrying on and get slicing them some pound cake, mine is provisional.
Ooh.
Now, if he ain't interested in me going with him,
you ain't gonna be up in here looking all.
Don't be the person I know in the picnic. Don't call me out. Talk about that Letitia, she know me. I'm just Letitia, she know me. I might not. We should have arrived together.
Came in as a duo.
No, he's a good looking man though, and he's funny as hell too. I saw his Netflix special. Funny.
Hilarious. It was so good. It was so
Netflix is doing it, ain't they, with all they stuff? Netflix. They giving us on the screen, ain't they? They giving us on the go.
We should do a show. They ready.
Listen,
because they giving them out. So
if you get us a meeting, I'm there.
I'm telling you,
we got so much stuff between us.
We do. Can we talk about this last cancellation?
Okay, who is it?
Oh
wow. Head is down, shaking.
Because I just I want to understand why this brother just won't never be quiet.
Oh,
Little
let me
Boosie.
guess. Oh,
Little Boosie. What? Why? Do he even rap? Did he even rap?
Girl, I don't know what tune he might have had on. I can't even remember because he just stay out here so wrong here lately on everything.
Got an opinion about everything.
Everything.
Well, no, let me be clear. He has an opinion about everything that has to do with sexuality.
Right. Right.
So concerned about what they got going on. Come on, Dwayne, man. Come on, Dwayne, man.
Listen.
You ain't gonna be letting this man be a girl. Come on, Dwayne, man.
First of all, let 2020 be the year of folks minding their own business. If they have agreed as parents that this is what they are going to do, and by them and they, I mean Gabrielle Union and her husband, Dwayne Wade, that's their child. That's their household. That's their decision to be good parents. Continue to be loving parents. Continue to be disciplining and guiding and opportunity providing parents.
Yes.
Why do we act like, especially in the Black community, that we can't do both? You can't parent and love a child that has awakened to their identity. Why are those two things mutually exclusive? Like they just got to be in conflict.
So riddle me this.
Okay.
Because a lot of folks speak about their issues being biblically, related, biblically based. Jesus is not going to be pleased. So, just so I'm clear, you have a child, a real person that you can touch, that you can see, who's saying, "This is how I feel. This is how I am. This is what I'm attracted to. This is when I look at myself in the mirror, this is what I see."
Right.
A real person, a real alive person. But you discount what that real alive person is feeling, saying, or presenting for a concept. Correct me if I'm wrong, child. I don't think that any of us has ever actually seen Jesus.
Well, when he come back, I hope I recognize him. They say he coming back. I hope I recognize him. But he recognized me more importantly. None
of us has actually seen Jesus. No, met a disciple. I don't think any of us had chicken nuggets. You know what I'm saying?
At the Last
wings.
Supper.
At the last, we don't know who wrote these books. We never seen them, but we will hold people to the fire, if you will, for something that you've never seen, and cast down that which you have. So I just don't understand. Like it's fine for you to have your opinion. You can say for my kids, but you can't be talking about how other people raise their kids, especially when their kids is doing well and performing in school and is articulate and knows how to fashion a pointy-toed kitten heel.
Right. I will say this. I am a believer, as you know, and I'm not one of these individuals. Somebody just tried to check me recently about this, and you can say and do what you want to say and do with what I'm getting ready to say. I know that hate is not the answer. I know that rejection is not the answer. I know that putting your children out of your life and out of your house because they have a different understanding of their identity and the essence of who they are, I know that ain't the answer. So when I've been in a situation where a very close family member to me was rejected for his own truth, chose to hide most of his life, etc., and folks were so judgy this and so judgy that, I'm not willing to take that charge of judgment because honestly, it ain't my business.
So no.
It's just not. None of that is my business. What I'm thankful for, though, is that they didn't hide. What I'm thankful for, though, that they didn't say in the house, okay, that's fine, wear heels and, that because they were looking at this as a total, this is this child's essence of identity. And the bravery with which because they got money to live a life quite comfortably out of the public eye forever if they chose to.
And they could be like some of the other parents who have had children who present um, in these ways, try to send them away someplace to get them
Yes,
deprogrammed, and
right.
all these types of secret places and spaces that are
Hmm.
around to knock the gay at you, and just the craziness around that.
It's not worth it. 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 One of the things that the same relative had told me before he passed away, he said, the one thing that I wished that I would have been loved and would have been accepted. He said, I spent my whole life lying about who I was in the public,
Mm, mm-hmm.
being in essence the son that you thought that I should have been married when having 15 kids over here and all of that. But I don't know, those things are difficult for me because difficult in terms of I'm not afraid to have the conversation, and sometimes other people are and they want to run away. I'm willing for you to call me not so good of a Christian or whatever you think about me, but I know hate ain't the way.
Mm-hmm.
I know that ain't the way. I know that rejection. I know that casting out and that pushing away because you don't agree, understand, or because you think it's a sin. I do always come back to this one scripture. The Bible does say to work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling of the very Lord. Now, what make you fear may not make me scared at all. What make you tremble might not make me blink. But you work out your own soul salvation, and that's real. And whatever your soul salvation may be for them, outside looking in, it looks like the soul salvation is we love our child regardless, and we out here in this world.
Right. And if he gonna be Zaya today and then in 2 years turn to Zaire or turn into whoever, as long as we supporting him, he feels loved, she feels loved, excuse me, she
Hmm.
feels valued, she feels appreciated. I don't have no opinion about what people do with their children as long as they are
Mm-mm.
treating their children appropriately. You abusing your children, and some people may feel like this is abuse, but I've
That
worked
comment was brought up. I saw
I've
that on social media. No,
I
nah.
work with abused children all over the world. I can show you what an abused child looks like. I
Okay.
assure you that Zaya Wade is not being abused. And people talk, people that lack the education around like attraction and don't
Mm-hmm.
understand like biological stimuli and
Mm-hmm.
environmental stimuli and how it's a delicate balance
Of all of this.
how things influence, sexuality. And,
Mm-hmm.
Lil Boosie just needs to mind his business.
He
Now,
do.
I'm going to restrict him access
Mm.
to the picnic, but I am going to bring him a plate. And this is the reason why, because he had a friend who was killed
Mm.
and had 2 kids. And
Mm.
Lil Boosie adopted these babies.
Oh.
And
Okay, that's nice.
so he can't come, but I'm gonna
But
at
you
least
gonna take him a plate.
I'm gonna take him a place so he can continue to manage the 7, I believe, or 8 children that he is now
Currently the head of the tribe of.
responsible for.
Well, just don't put none of my mac and cheese on his plate. Now the
Oh
kids can have some, but not on his plate. Don't put none on his plate when
no,
you pack it on up and go. Don't put it on his.
no, we don't give him that hamburger that fell down between the grate and got right on
Mm.
the pole, so a little ashy. It's as a reminder. When he bite into it and he be like, what's that? There's a
It's
reminder.
like lighter fluid.
Watch what you say, Bruce. Watch what you just like with this hamburger. Watch what you say.
Get that taste out your mouth.
Exactly.
Lord have mercy. Oh, child. Well, we done got the most of the invitations all situated. But on a serious note, though, we do need to wrap up with what it's some interesting news. And it's a moment for us to take a step back. And we had shared this offline, but cancel culture is real and it has real consequences. We are social individuals. We are, because of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, now ticking and a talking. Girl, my 7-year-old niece was like, it's not ticking and a talking, it's just a tick and a talk. I was like, okay, I don't even know what it is.
Is I don't okay, so I've reached that age and I'm a technologist, as you know. I've reached that age where I don't understand why there's a TikTok. Because it to me, I'm like, you just couldn't have recorded a regular video on your phone and just put it up just like that? Like, does it do something special? Like, I don't know. Like,
I
I'm
don't know.
at that age where I'm like, tickety talking. I ain't doing it.
I don't know. But those things have legs and they have viral energy. So, to bring things home to you, it's a serious matter when you think about cancel culture and what we do and how we interact online. For example, when what was it? Barbecue Becky was on the phone. You know, that lady with the meme, the heavier white woman that had sunglasses and the meme on the phone. They literally went, I mean, within a matter of hours, we knew who she was, where she worked for. People had already been tweeting her employer, get her fired, etc. Now, Becky, you were showing out in public. I'm not saying that woman, I mean, should have lost her livelihood, but she definitely thinks twice before picking up that phone in public. I bet now.
What the old folks say,
Hmm.
a hard head make a soft what?
Behind.
So she's learned some lessons and hopefully is not resentful.
I
But
hope not either.
again, when you have experienced something that has been incredibly negative,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me, I've always tried to be very thoughtful about like my role. Like,
Yes.
why did it happen to me?
Right.
Was I avoiding an easier route and it had
Mm-hmm.
to be this heavy for me to pay attention to it? Or am I uniquely skilled or talented in some way to use my voice to talk about what comes next? Or, I really try to be very introspective about these things. I am hopeful that in the secret spaces of her life, she is not saying, oh, these Black people is crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
like, I hope that she actually finds some value, like,
Right. In the feedback.
in the feedback. Yes,
Even in the backlash, there can be a blessing. It
Ab-
really can be.
it
If
can
you open to it. If
it
you
can
open to learning.
if you open to learn. You know what I'm saying? Now she can't get
Mm-hmm.
no invite to the barbecue.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Nope.
But if we see you in another section of the park,
Mm-hmm.
because you're a human, I might be
Mm-hmm.
like, "What up, Becky?"
In the other section of the park.
In the other section of the park, be like, "Is that Becky over yonder? Hey,
Right?
Becky and Becky people."
Listen, I'm trying to tell you, getting along online, you would think that it would be easy, but people beef hard online. I mean, Twitter finger gangsters are real out here.
It's
Trolls.
trolls, like, specifically, you get up every day to be like, people like admit they're proud.
Fun.
They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna be trolling today. To me, it's just all a form of bullying, and
Yes.
I just don't respond well to bullying to adults.
Mm-mm.
It's and to children. These tiki takis and not
Snapchat, snap it up.
Snapchat, snap it up, that
Oh, and
girl.
then a WhatsApp. What's
And,
it?
like, and the things that these children talk about online,
Oh,
and I'm like, first of all, ain't now one of y'all got a job.
Nan.
You are 10. The
Okay.
only reason why you own the Snapchat is because your mama work hard or your daddy work hard to get you a telephone so that you could do these things. How
Right.
dare you come on here and be talking about somebody else's whatever, hair, facial features, or whatever? How about you mind your business? How about you sing you a song? How about you get you
Right.
home? How about you do what you do? Dance to your tiki-taki. Where is the inspiration for people who just want to be good people?
A girl.
and not hurt nobody else's feelings, not make
Mm-hmm.
anybody feel less than or bad or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
certainly, if you got a trash opinion about something and you are a trash human, then
Yep.
there's not much many of us can do. So there's not
Mm-hmm.
there's not a certain amount of Twitter responses or whatever that's going to make
Right.
a trash human all of a sudden see your point or see your perspective. And I'm not saying
Right.
that you can't have impactful and even sometimes conflictual dialogue, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where learning occurs.
Right.
Is when when it's smooth, sometimes you smooth over the educational attainment opportunity. Sometimes
Right.
when it's a little rocky, that's when you start paying attention and be like, oh, I didn't know that, or whatever the case may be. But
Mm-hmm.
people have died, you know,
Literally.
literally, because they have fallen out of favor in the community
Mm-hmm.
that they feel like they belong in. And
Right.
so, how
Wasn't
dare,
that in the news too?
yeah, there's been several people who have committed suicide, who,
Mm.
have totally stepped away from the limelight because
Mm-hmm.
they just couldn't take the criticism. They couldn't take being canceled. They couldn't take how people say, I mean, they say it, you're canceled.
Oh yeah.
There's so many places and spaces where people are not in the best mental
Mm-hmm.
space, and then these online comments take them over. I know that there was
Mm-hmm.
a reality show host, Caroline Flack.
Oh, I heard about that. What was that again?
Yeah, so
Remind me.
she had some falls in her personal life, and
Mm-hmm.
people clowned her so bad for
Mm.
some of these missteps and mistakes, that she ended up committing suicide because she was being trolled online
Have mercy.
over a reality show of
Oh,
all things. You know what I mean?
right.
I just have a greater space for in humanity for people. Like, I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
that we should be allowed to have some grace when we make mistakes, and
Amen.
that there should be some acknowledgement, because if you continuously doing something over and over again that you have
Right.
no business doing, then certainly there should be some
You
consequences.
can be dismissed. Right.
But but some of us are just making it up as we go along. There
Right.
really isn't a blueprint to like being a person. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm very different than both my parents, and they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have told me how to get and be in the space that I'm in now. So if
Right.
I've made some mistakes along the way, and people are criticizing me for just trying to make my way or express
Right.
my opinion, or being in a different kind of space, why would you want to hurt me specifically? You know what I'm saying? Especially when people are making like general statements online, or there is my life. You know what I'm saying? So people
Right.
say, well, if you are sharing your life online, then that gives me permission to say whatever it is I want to say.
No,
I don't
that's
think so.
not the case. Mm-mm.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think
Mm-mm.
people should be more responsible with their words.
Absolutely. I think that's such a good note to end on with those thoughts about how we conduct ourselves, especially since we relaunched. When we first started this, we had to approach ourselves with how were we going to conduct ourselves as women on the microphone, as Black women. We thought about all of these things and what was important to us. That's why we have our language practices, and that's why we have our when we host company as well, when we are company in other shows or other settings, how we conduct ourselves. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Giving people the space to grow in grace, giving them the space to go from ignorant to informed,
Correct.
giving them the space to go from undecided to open to entertaining or being or exploring other options of how you can interact and be. I will tell you, I had the experience of just really a kind of a gut check for me. You know, back in the day, I used to do the reality recall and all of that stuff, and a quick recap of all the different shows from Real Housewives to Married to Medicine to Love and Hip Hop. Oh, God of mercy, Jesus. And I didn't want to do that this reiteration of the relaunch simply because I wanted to. I don't want to sit down and watch that stuff all the time. Girl, they have just gotten on my nerves so bad. I mean, how many episodes can you yell at? Well, honey, this and honey, that. And I'm tired of all of it. Oh, and they should be too.
I haven't watched Love and Hip Hop in a no. I'm not gonna say that I still don't enjoy reality TV.
Right, I do too. I do too. Some of it, yes, I do.
But Love and Hip Hop, I haven't really gotten into. And basketball wise, those are the two shows that I really have kind of stayed away from for a number of years because the conflict and like my spirit just isn't situated, especially after my father passed away and I lost all these people that I loved and cared for. To the negativity was just overwhelming.
And who wants to be negative like that all the time? There are some things that come out of those spaces that you can learn from, that you can gleam up and glow up in. But the majority of it is just absolutely mind wrecking. I done basically left VH1 alone. Every now and then I tune in, even if there's a reunion, or I tune into the first episode. So I did watch the first episode of Love and Hip Hop New York because Chrissy was coming back and I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to see, was she still with Jim Jones, and did Mama Jones put her out? I remember in real life they had the fire and all of this stuff. I was curious.
Yes.
But once I got the update, I'm out. I haven't tuned back in since. You know, I'm just not interested in that stuff anymore. Like that. Now, like you said, I do like other reality TV shows. Like I'm all in Survivor, girl.
So I haven't even watched Survivor. So like now that we are on Corona lockdown, I'm going to be able to watch
Get caught up
live on television because. And I like Survivor, Survivor and The Biggest Race. Those were some of my favorite. Amazing Race, yes. I loved those shows. So yeah, I am excited to be able to hear like what is coming next for you in this space. Because again, of the two of us, you have the greater journalism background, and so I loved what you did on Reality Recall, the short kind of journalistic. It had a different swing to kind of what is available like on YouTube and you know when people are recapping the shows or whatever case may be. So I'm interested on what your next independent show is going to be on as we continue to regrow our brand. Because you do have that lens and that experience and that kind of critical detail that is not just retelling what we saw, but it's like critical detail, questioning and you know, making the mind work to think. So I'm interested in what happens and around a different subject area. So not, you know, the garbage of reality, you know, TV that have to be present from time to time, but like what the next thing is. So that's going to be like super good.
I know the fans are friends, the friends of the show. They just don't know. We've got a lot of new things in store, but we've also got some of the same old stuff that we do, you know, been doing and had done that worked. We just gonna be us. You know, this is a show where we are putting forth some things out here in the space. You've been busy on your music and all of that, so I can't wait to hear that, do a listening party right here for that. And just thinking about what this space can be. We're still doing our celebrity interviews. We've got one coming up later on in this episode or in this episode. And it was wonderful to sit down with our sorority sister and friend of the show, the new author or the author of the new book, Step Up, Step Out and Shine, Africa Miranda.
Yes.
So that was so much fun.
You're going to love this interview. Please listen to this interview we did with Africa Miranda coming up next.
The Pisces Life.
Welcome to the relaunched
Pisces Life podcast. This is a special edition with your host. I am just Letitia and
I am Kyla. Peace, y'all.
And you know what? We have a wonderful guest. This would be so, just serendipitous the way this happened. We have with us tonight Africa Miranda. She is back. Our Sunset edition, what was that? 4 years ago now?
Oh, wow. Time has passed. Wow. Happy to be back.
Listen, what did the old folks say? Looks like the creek didn't rise at all. Well, thank you so much for being here. We wanted to give you an opportunity to check in with our listeners and figure out what's been happening with you. First of all, I admit I kind of stalk you on, social media.
I do post a lot of things.
You're not stalking her. You are just paying close attention to the queendom.
Yes, we'll
you know
call
what
it
I'm
supporting.
saying?
Exactly. We'll call it supporting.
But seriously, it is always so vibrant and brilliant. There has been so much that has taken place since we last talked with you. So you are a beauty influencer, former reality TV star, singer, actress, model, including meme actress, which I love. We'll get into that in a little bit. So again, just thinking about catching us up, you are an author now? Is that the latest?
Yes. I released my first book, Step Up, Step Out and Shine, in the fall of 2018. I'm actually prepping for the release of the second edition. Has some new things that have, special things that have been added to the book, and that'll be in May. So depending on when you guys are hearing this, it'll be May 1st.
Oh, well, they'll be tuned in next week, so that pre-order link, we can hook it up.
Well, I'll say this.
Definitely.
If the book is live on Amazon, so if you order now, you'll get the original edition, which is still great. Like we're adding some really interesting stuff for the second edition. So I'm like, you can get one now and then get the second edition when it comes out in May as well.
That's right. Okay. Might as well. I had a question to follow up on that, too. So basically the premise of the book is rejecting the status quo, walking into your own transformative success.
Yeah.
That's a big mouthful. What does that really mean?
Well, the whole title is about taking action, stepping up, stepping out, and shining. Those, it's really about taking a proactive approach to living your life versus just how many of us have been, and most of us, I would say, have been conditioned to just react, meaning like we go through life, things happen to us, and then we, figure out what to do after things happen versus saying, you know what, I want to look at my life, and instead of just going from moment to moment, I want to have, a say in creating those moments. Like, while I do believe God is still in ultimate control, He has given us skills and gifts and talents that we can utilize to put to work in our lives.
Well, preach then. Come on, Sarah.
I hear that. When did you know that you had started to step into your own transformation? Like, what was happening in your life? What were the signs, or what was the status of your life at the time where you were like, oh, yes, I am transforming?
Well, what I realized was that in looking back on my life, it was something that I was constantly doing, because if you really look at, at life and what life is, it is constant growth, it's constant change. We're constantly going through new cycles, from going from childhood to teenage to young adulthood into adulthood. You may, get married, get divorced. Like, each of these are points in our lives where we really become new people, if you're a parent. And I just realized that, I had taken for granted that in some respects I had a unique gift or skill at being able to reinvent myself, or to just, find something within myself, that strength to kind of start over. Because I realized that I would get a lot of questions from people, and some things would be about work, but then a lot of it started to be, many people just asking, like, how did you get to do this? Or how did you go from, point A to point B, from being on reality TV to now, like, you're writing a book, or you're doing these projects, or you're working with brands. And again, I was taking it for granted, because just in my life, I was like, well, I just do the work, and I just do this and I do that. But when you start, when I started really, getting some of the same questions over and over again, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm recognizing there's something that people need, and that clearly there's something that I'm doing that I'm taking for granted, that I'm just assuming everybody else knows, or, you know, or knows how to tap into it, shall I say. And I realized that they didn't. And that's really how the book was born. It was really about me, one, sharing my personal stories and experiences, but also giving, you know, specific tips and guides and a guide for people to tap into their own light. Because it's not about me saying you should live your life how I live it, but it's really about saying, how do you get closer to having, you know, a version of life that you wanted, that you dreamed of, that you always thought was you could maybe have, but you didn't know how to get it.
Wow. Wow, that is beautiful. So you answered the other question, that there is going to be another book coming out in May 2020, so we've got that. But something else you mentioned was sharing your knowledge. So I see you've been doing some media trainings, and I've been calling it Networking 101, tapping into your own power to get your, you know, get your peeps energized. So talk about that.
Well, that, you know, the book is Step Up, Step Out, and Shine, and is about tapping into, you know, your personal strengths. But what I also realized was that, you know, people also still needed guidance and, you know, advice and things that I could share specifically as it relates to career in media and really thriving in this digital space, because so much of it is new. And it's a space that thankfully I have found some success in. And you know, and the thing about it is it's hard. I didn't have really many people to look to build what I'm doing now, because what I'm doing now didn't even really exist 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I think the very least that those of us that are doing well in this space can do is to share that information. So that's how it was born. I have a free training, which is the Media Mastery Workshop. And in that, I give, you know, some surface like media techniques that you can immediately implement to start getting better results in terms of getting yourself more visibility and clarity in your messaging, in terms of how you present yourself on social media and just in digital media, period. But then for people that are ready to take a step and go deeper, I've created the Step Up, Step Out, and Shine digital media training course. And that's where it's really about honing a very specific and strategic media presence that you can then leverage for financial opportunities.
Man.
Awesome.
Learning
That
from
is
an
helpful.
expert.
And I'm sure not only for ourselves, Letitia and I, but for our listening audience, that is going to be super helpful. So what's a small nugget from your media training that you could share with our audience today?
One is honestly just clarity. So many people are focused on like the end result, meaning like, oh, they want to, you know, be interviewed on this platform, or they want to get paid to work with brands. But then when you go look at, you know, how they present themselves on social media, you know, with what I like to call their digital resume, it's incomplete or non-existent, meaning that there's like their images or their platform or what they stand for isn't clear. I can't go and in like 5 to 10, you know, even 20 seconds, understand who you are, what you stand for, what your message is, and what you do. And that's a problem. And the thing is that that's a problem for small business owners. It's a small problem for authors, for hosts, for really anyone that's trying to use social media or just digital media period to their advantage. So the first thing that I always start with is clarity. Like, you have to know what you're saying and why. And because if you don't know and you can't express it clearly, then your audience can't connect with it. And if they can't connect, you can't convert.
Wow. Say that again.
Yes, say that again. If you can't connect, you cannot
if you can't
convert.
connect, you can't convert, meaning you can't convert a sale, you can't convert someone into a buyer, to a listener for your podcast, to a reader for your blog, to a follower, just, you know, very simply a follower on social media.
That's interesting. Good advice right there. I love that. One of the things that I wanted to ask you as well was to think about the space that you've come from in your own evolution. And I'm really curious, what are some of the big differences that you see from reality TV to now, particularly managing on camera, off camera, you know, tomorrow you're the headline and the next day you're on Wendy Williams, you know. How would you, what would you think about that, or the landscape now?
Oh, you're saying, meaning like how reality TV is now versus then?
Yes.
To be honest, I don't watch reality TV anymore, so I couldn't even speak to it. Because I honestly, after my experience, I mean, before I was on the show, like, I think I enjoyed it as most people do. Like, I looked at it as harmless entertainment. But after being a part of it and just honestly seeing firsthand, like, the violence and experiencing violence and just seeing what it was in terms of representation for the culture. I couldn't watch it the same way, and it wasn't mindless entertainment for me. So to be very honest, I don't watch it anymore. Like from social media, people post clips, so I clearly can tell like they're, things are, you can stay somewhat abreast of it because people are posting clips on social media. But in terms of like sitting down watching, like I don't watch any of the shows anymore. Like, the traditional, like the Housewives of Atlanta, like Love and Hip Hop.
Right.
Like, yeah, like I feel like once I saw like a little bit of Love and Hip Hop recently because I had VH1 on. I was watching something else and it came on. And I think I watched like about like 5 or 10 minutes, and I just was like, it doesn't feed me anymore. Like I don't find it, like I don't knock it, and I don't knock anybody that does it, like and I don't knock even anybody that watches it. It's just personally where I am. It just doesn't resonate with me anymore.
I hear you. I'm in that evolution too. I decided this go around not to do the reality recall, those quick splashes of the recaps for that. And for that very reason, I was growing tired of it. And honestly, I want to be we really want to continue to be in a positive space with what we put out here in content. And I started honestly feeling a little like, I don't want to rehash that because I'm putting that back out there. So
and the thing too is like it's just finding other things like types of entertainment to watch, and it's just like one show that I did find myself watching because I knew someone that was on the first season, and it would be considered like reality, but it was the Love Is Blind on OWN, and I watched that and I enjoyed that. I watched the second, so like that I was like, this I can watch, you know what I mean? Like this, like it's entertainment. But I'm not watching people like it's not what the other shows to me had turned into. So when I I would say recently, like that's the only thing that would fall probably under that umbrella that I've recently watched and I enjoy, because I was just like, this is something different. I liked how they presented like real people and like that, for as real as you can be clearly on television, but in terms of how the show was produced, I was like, until it changes, because I will say the second season to me started to turn into more typical reality than the first season, which is also what happens. And I realized like at the end of the second season, I was like, I don't know how much more I would be able to watch just because it started to turn into some of the other. But that's like to me an example of like, just like, good fun.
Right. Now, I want to know, who did you know on Love Is Blind? I got into the hype because I kept seeing it popping up in my Netflix and on social media. But who did you know?
Oh, I knew Rita Davis from the first season, because she's also a media personality from Atlanta. Like she's interviewed me a few times. She's really, really super talented. Like she's an actress and a great like interviewer and host. So I knew her from like working and living in Atlanta. So when I saw she was going to be on, I was like, I gotta see somebody I know I want to support.
Nice.
Awesome. And so in that media space, I'm not sure, Africa, if you saw the short clip of the young lady who was getting her hair done, and she intimated that she felt that she was ugly, even with her getting
girl.
her hair done. Did you see that?
I did.
Share your thoughts about that, because it just brought me to tears. It just made me so sad, and I just wanted to, find this baby and just love on her and pour so much positive energy into her. So share your thoughts about that.
It was heartbreaking to watch it, but as much as heartbreaking as it was, it also, I'm not surprised that our girls feel that way. And it's not necessarily, that's just because of what we perpetuate within our own culture, and also the image of beauty that's perpetuated as well, because we can't sit here and act like we don't celebrate children that still look more, that look, we ooh and ah over like mixed kids all the time, or children that like fall under more European standards of beauty. Little girls like that, we're lying if we act like these are girls that we celebrate and we lift up as like, oh my God, the cutest kids in the world. We don't do it. We're rallying around this little girl right now because we saw that video and it was horrible, and it sparked a nerve. But let's not act like that, like little dark skinned girls with 4C hair are the girls that we prop up as like the cutest girls in the world. We don't do it. They're not the ones that we like. We don't do it. And I think it's we don't need to just celebrate our girls when it's like such an extreme situation. And if anything, that's what I feel like it should be, a call to action. Like, yes, we should, it's horrible, but it's more horrible that it takes that for us to like make these girls feel seen and feel affirmed.
Wow. Well said. Well said. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with our readers before you get out of here? If not, we have a little game we want to play with you. But go ahead if you got something else. Upcoming events, upcoming appearances.
Well, like I said, just when I release the date, I'd like the release of the second edition of Step Up, Step Out and Shine is in May. So I will be doing a few events around the country, not as much as my first tour, but a few special events over the summer as relates to that. So I'll be announcing those soon. But you can connect with me on all social platforms at Africa Miranda, and that's where I will be announcing everything that's coming.
All right, we will definitely do that. Before we get out of here, we wanted to play a little game called Life, Love, and Travel, the last place you traveled. Tell us where it was.
Like last trip, or literally the last place I went.
Literally, trip.
Okay, because you know what I mean. Because I had to go to Boston a couple of weeks ago for something for family, but I was like, that's not I don't think that's what you mean. My last big trip was in around Labor Day. Well, goodness, I did so much traveling last year, but my last that was not my last good trip was in September of last year. I went to Thailand.
Oh wow! I
went to Bangkok and Phuket.
Right?
No, that actually was right before that. That was in Sao Paulo. I went to Brazil.
Oh,
I did a lot of traveling last year.
All right. Next question. Last time you went on a memorable date?
Oh gosh.
Oh, girl.
I would say April 2019. So yeah, almost a year ago.
Okay.
I should say memorable. So yeah, last memorable date was like April 2019.
And memorable, good memories, we hope.
Yes, good memorable.
Okay, good.
Good memorable. Yeah.
All right, very good. And last question. Last time you did self-care to reset, recharge, and what did you do?
Last Wednesday, I get a monthly facial, and it like the monthly date fell on last Wednesday. So my facial last Wednesday was my self-care.
Nice. And I love your products too. I had an opportunity to get a little sample going. Someone that I know had some. I was like, I was always hesitant with my sensitive skin, but there we are.
Yes, no, it's definitely worked well. I mean, I still recommend with anyone, especially those of you with very sensitive skin, to do a patch test. But I have customers with sensitive skin that have done really well with it. So definitely check out beautybyafricamiranda.com.
All right, now.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Africa, for joining us again as we are relaunching this thing. You are one of our inspiration points, and we are so happy that you availed yourself to join us and share a little bit about what's been going on with you since we last spoke with you with the Pisces Life audience. So thank you so much for being with us today.
I appreciate it. I'm honored that you guys thought enough of me to have me back. And like for Pisces Life audience, I appreciate it. You guys have a great community, and I just feel very honored to be here. So I really appreciate it.
The Pisces Life.
We're so thankful to our listeners. It's good to be back.
It's wonderful to be back talking and chatting and back in each other's lives. You know what I mean? We took a pause and then came back together, not only for this cause, but for life, girl.
Yes.
Makidara, you and me us never part. Makidara, you and me us have one heart.
Yes. Sing it, sister. Sing it. You've listened to yet another episode of the Pisces Life. You can find me at Kai Loves You.
Double check.
Kai Loves You on Facebook and on the Twitter, and Kai Loves You 2, the number, on Instagram. Where can they find you at, sis?
Hey girl, they can find your girl at I Am Just Letitia, Letitia, everywhere she be on the Twitter, Facebook, and the Instagram.
Peace.
Peace.